everyone, and thanks for joining us today. And good morning, first of all. And my name is Pinyapha Sompong, or some of you, or you just can call me Amy, it's more easier. I'm the chef of legal from Evermore Company Limited, and I also sit as a vice chair of the British Chamber of Commerce and also a part of the Women in Business group as well. So first of all, I just want to take this opportunity to say that it's great to see, like a group of diverse women in the business, like arranging the meeting to share the interests, experiences, and the insights that could help to empower the women from all the backgrounds and walk of life, grow, thrive, and succeed in the business. So I think the Women in Business group meeting is a fantastic opportunity just to learn and expand your network business connection and to find inspiration and quality to develop and also to share the expertise with the others. So having said that, I think I'm going to pass this floor to Noah and the committee, just give you a little bit of the introduction about the group, our objectives, outline of the role of the women representatives, and perhaps end with the chat to exchange our idea that how we can help each other. So yes, pass it over to you, Noelle.
Thank you very much, Amy. So welcome everybody. So this is our first Women in Business chat. The objective was to really create a better connection between us and the members and also the representatives. And I'll talk a little bit about the representatives a little bit more. It's meant to be a chat, so there is going to be just some slides at the beginning for us to just walk through on our objectives. So if you can, the objective is if you keep your picture up, but keep yourself on mute just in between unless you've got questions. But this is meant to be an interactive session. So if you've got questions as you go through, please let us know. I think I'll just start off by introducing the Women in Business Committee. The committee was set up in August 2020, and we've only really known a kind of a COVID environment that we've worked in, and it was set up really to try and increase basically participation of women in the BCCT, and also to create a networking and environment where people could connect and for their own business development, their own personal development as well. On the committee, we have as an honorary member, unfortunately, Alex can't join today. That is the Deputy Ambassador to the British Embassy. So she is an honorary member and a great advisor to the group. We have Rungrit, who is our BCCT liaison officer. So she's recently replaced Gina. Gina has been very focused on the vaccination and has made an absolutely great effort in that. So at the moment, Rungrit's going to come in and help us to support us. And then on the committee, we've got Amy, who did the introduction, who is the vice chair on the board, with Amanda and Jantama, who are also on the board. And then Cheryl, Heather and Malaya, who basically also support the group. So we as a group, we meet at least monthly just to talk about initiatives that we can basically launch within the BCC to kind of achieve our objectives. As part of, we've been just in existence for just over a year now. So one of the initiatives we wanted to launch was to basically identify within the members a contact point for the BCCT women to basically give us a direct access to people who could maybe give us input into potential events, into surveys that we did, that we send out to members to reach out, and also to raise awareness within the organisation, because I know that some of the feedback that we get is often when there's an event or when there's an initiative, it may go to the main contact point, but then it doesn't get disseminated within the organisation. So what we were trying to do with the representatives is basically give us kind of a point of contact that we could make sure that what we were doing got kind of cascaded out, and also we got the input basically on events that we could actually roll out and how we could focus. So I think on today's call, I think some of you are already representatives for your companies. If any of you are not sure, I think sometimes you may have been nominated and may not be sure, then just let me know, drop me a note or drop RJ a note, and we'll make sure that you are put down as the contact point going forward. So we're quite excited by having a representative in the companies so that we can basically kind of achieve our objectives more easily, I think. The first objective which we've basically identified was increase the representation of women within the BCCT, and this was a little bit personal from my perspective. I got back involved with the chamber probably in early 2020 when we took on, when I became part of BDO, and there was a need for me to get back out into the networking, and basically I wanted to do something that was a little bit more meaningful. And I think when I looked at the BCCT and I spoke with Andrew, who was the chair at the time, one of the ways he said I could help was maybe to set up the BCCT Women in Business group. There had been committees in the past, but he said basically to try and basically get more diversity in the attendance in the events, in the actual events themselves, by having women speakers, and to make it more diverse in terms of representation, but also more, I would say, friendly to the members. And I know how often when you walk into a room and it's a wash of people that you don't know, and particularly if it's maybe mainly men, it's not always easy to break into that. So it was basically just creating a more open environment within the BCCT to allow women to feel more comfortable to participate in particular. And so one of our areas of focus is obviously trying to figure out, well, how do we actually do that? How do we, one, encourage more women to attend the events that we're set up, and how can we influence the events so that they're more focused on maybe what women need, and also looking at the mix of the events that maybe are for a broader audience and maybe specific events that may focus on what women's needs may be. And I think there has been progress in this. I mean, we've held a number of events over the last year. We're running at about each quarter. COVID hasn't helped in it because we've oscillated between webinars versus live events. But we are seeing that there is much more mixed presenters at a lot of the general events that there are. I think just maybe what we wanted to do was just at this point, just do a quick poll of everybody to basically get your feedback on how you think our group can basically achieve this objective. So Tutu, do you want to run the first poll that we have? Okay, so what we're just asking for is, what are the types of events that maybe would be attractive to you? I'm going to see live answers on the screen as we go through. Not quite everybody, we've got a few more answers coming in. Okay, so I'll, I think we've got most of you have voted at this point, so I'll end the poll. Can everybody see the poll? The poll results? That's an interesting feedback. Thank you very much for it. I think it was, I think one of the issues that when we're looking at the types of events is how much of it is, how much of it is business related, and some of the feedback that we've had is there's been a reluctance because they haven't, that they want to get more on the business briefing, but I'm pleased to see that it's also the self-development workshops, which I think we can basically look at basically going forward. So thank you very much for the feedback on that. Can I hand over now to Amanda, maybe to go through the second objective?
Yes, certainly. Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see so many people in attendance to our event this morning. I was going to talk briefly because our second objective is about supporting, developing and recognising women's talent, and it's a key driver in all of this, and that's why we've had a poll to get women representatives from all the BCCT companies that are members, and we want to do this through events. We want to provide support personally and professionally for women at events. We know and acknowledge that, you know, roads to leadership or positions in companies, there's hurdles to get over, but for women, those hurdles, we can't deny it, they are higher. So it is really important that we create a space where women feel connected and feel that they've got a network and they feel comfortable and welcome to be able to come and speak and learn and support each other together. So we want to do this by promoting schemes that empower and support women development on their road to that leadership, and make those connections. The connections are really important. As someone that's been a member of BCCT for sort of all the time I've been in Thailand through Riverside campus, Shrewsbury International School, when I branched out to open the new campus, you know, very much it was a new business to promote, and I got so much support from BCCT during that time of getting our name City Campus on the map. I really appreciated, and it was when Noel and Heather sort of chatted to me about becoming a BCCT board member that I thought, no, I don't think I can do that. I don't know if that's for me. But having spoken to them and their encouragement, they empowered me to go for that, and now I'm there sitting on the board. And it's important that we work together to empower each other. We know that women that support women will be more successful. So that environment where it feels safe and that we're offering what we can give you of what you'd like to see us offering to you, then we'll all grow in that facility, and those connections are important. So we feel that through maybe mentorship guides and networking events and partnership opportunities, we can increase women's involvement and their confidence and empowerment there. And mentoring doesn't have to be around sort of someone like me, an older person mentoring a younger person. I've got an interesting story, just happened yesterday. Somebody that was in a TA, a teaching assistant in a school that I worked at and was a head at over 15 years ago, has progressed and become an executive head and is now going on to being a sort of counsellor, a mentor, a coaching expert. And she asked me just for some questions about my journey, and then at the end of it, she offered me coaching. She realised that it's quite a hard job in leadership, and she could see yesterday that there's only so much you can keep being resilient and getting back up and carrying on, and she's offered me coaching. So that mentoring has gone full circle from me mentoring her when she was very young to her mentoring me when I'm very old. So it's about mutual respect and gaining those networks through events that we can offer as women in business and part of the BCCT. And we want to recognise and promote women in those leadership roles and give them that empowerment there. And raising that power of collaboration between us as a group and building that group. So that is one of our key drivers, to support, develop and recognise women's talents. And we've had a number of events already, and particularly one sticks out for me is the panel discussion we had Dare to Dream that we had on International Women's Day. And on that, I think I learned from that we as women to sort of rewrite the dialogue and change it. I know very often people will say to me, "Oh, you've done fairly well, you know, whatever, you know, in your career." And I say, "Oh, I was in the right place at the right time. I was really lucky." And actually, yes, we are, but maybe that is true. But really, I saw opportunities and I said yes to them, and I'm successful in my role. We need to change how we think about what we do as women in positions of leadership, and when we've done well, we need to support each other and collaborate with each other to keep that momentum going and reach out to other women, particularly in the organisation that we're all connected with, which is the BCCT. So I think we have a poll now on how we can support, develop and recognise your talent. And I think it's just got a couple of options there. So it'd be good if, when there's others that we'd like you to suggest, really think of things that we could do as BCCT and also as Women in Business Group, particularly how we can support you moving forward with your leadership. So if we could put the poll up, that would be great, please. Thinking whether it's mentorship, a program that you would be interested in, business workshops or others. There might be other things that you can think of that can support the networking of women in the group. I can't see if the results are coming in. Nola, are you in charge of the results coming in?
Yes, I can see the results. We've got 18, 20, they're coming in, they're rolling in fast. So,
Amy, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to this objective, or Heather.
Amanda, I think you pretty much covered everything, and particularly at the part of the mentoring that you just mentioned it between you and the TA. I think it's very important, you know, just to create that environment and we educate each other and also exchange the idea to, you know, like encourage and support each other for like the career path in the future, and perhaps also like touch base a little bit in some personal life that, you know, is the challenges that you have to face as a woman, like as the mother, as the partner or whatsoever. I think is having or be able to be a part of the Women Business Group is a great opportunity to share and exchange the idea among each other. Yeah.
I was just going to share that once upon a time I was on a panel on Women's Day, and after the session was over, one of the ladies in the audience came and asked me if I would mentor her, which I was grateful to do, and I did for about 3 years until she went overseas, and that was a great plus for well, I hope for her, but also for me. So so that's just an example for somebody to go and ask somebody else to mentor them. Thank you.
good. So can you see the results on the screen?
Yeah, we can.
Good, okay.
Seems quite equal, the balance of mentorship and business workshops, which is great to see. And there are some other suggestions, so I can't see those, but we will be able to look at those in our
We'll
group.
look at those, yeah, I'll share those later. I can't see them at the moment as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'd now like to hand over to Jantama, who's going to talk about our next objective.
Thank you, Amanda, for over to me. I'm on talking about how this women in business gonna be helping the people on the policy and organization about the diversities. But the thing is, I would like to thank you all the BCCTs and that have opportunity to join on the board directors. So that's something also the committee in here. So as part of working as a pearson in world educations, I feel like the diversity will become more effective to the companies, to the peoples, because we are picking up the type of equals equity of the people, how we can share what we can do workings at the team works. So like Pearson, we have something to support the women and also another genders. So for example, like I like Pearson because the first thing when I joined, they asked me, are you want to be flexibility in your work life? So that's something I definitely want to think about that because I'm have one child in family. So I mean, it's very hard to travel. So the company requires flexibility to think about how we can support you to working really, I mean, in a good environment. So that's something that I start thinking about that. That's something that how the people make kind of like confidential and the work and the support for the companies. And also another promotion that they try to create in Pearson that they try to support that the man can take the long holiday to support the wife when she got on the delivery. So that's something that can support that how they can have the the balance work on that. And also something that they can support on any staff that to do the charities in the company. That's something that they seem like it's very important for the people to do some kind of social responsibility. So this is something that I feel that even I join on the BCCT, we have the same vision and objective that like women business, how we can support to the women members in the companies, even how we can help them to get the balancing on their work-life situation, because the COVID-19 is not easy for everyone, especially for the moms and the mothers and the colleagues. So how we can stick together and to become stronger as a woman at the leadership, and how we can care the people at mentoring. So that's why I think this is something that why the discussion today gonna be something to support all the member in here or the leadership in the company, how as a woman in business group, helping you to drive at the workplace, better to support on either the career, you get the good model of business case, and also we want to helping you on the balance program, anything that we can support you in the future. So I think it's gonna be, I mean, support for that. That's for the topic discussion today. So I think a part of the discussion, I would like to have some kind of like the question come for the pool for anyone to answer. I'm not sure that.
Last poll, lovely, thank you.
Right. So the question is about that your company have a diversity program. Oh, so quick.
Oh, I didn't have a chance to vote, but the results just came up, but we don't, can we have
Yeah.
the poll?
I thought it's still going. Oh, the poll 3 is still in progress on my screen.
Oh,
You can't.
Can we do it again? Sorry. Apologize for the technical issues.
great.
All right. Okay. So the second question, do you have a male sponsor in your organization supporting diversity? Yes. So I think everyone already have finished the poll. So I think the first thing that in the first question, I would like to say to the member that we would like to support more on the diversity in the company. If the people in the membership in here to join us, if you want to have any kind of like help from us, please let the email to the group or the email that's BCCT so we can support you, and also for the sponsorship for the male support. I think we want to increase more to 100% in the future if we can. So I think that's something that we can have more balancing, or the thing that we can do together. So anyone want to add on this one? Noel, you want to add anything apart of like my talking on today?
No, I think it's important that that companies do have it. I mean, we just from BDO, we are actually got 80% females. I must admit, we don't have a written diversity policy, which we should do. But a lot of the time, I think people don't know what they need to do to support. And I think it's important that maybe us as a group, we can share and help push out through the women reps, basically, what initiatives companies could do to help support, whether it's in childcare, whether it's work-life balance. And I think, Jantama, you're right. I think COVID has highlighted how much often sits on women's shoulders to actually make the housework, plus often if you have a job as well. So the balancing act and the number of hats you wear can be quite numerous and puts a lot of mental strain on you. So yes, thank you very much, Jantama. Yep. So just for the, I thought we'd just wrap up. So thank you very much for all the feedback. We will take it all on board. We are at the moment relooking basically at the goals and the governance of our group. I think as we come out of COVID, I think there will be a new energy in terms of what we look around, what events to do. I think webinars, I think they've got a place. I think it makes it easier when you're not necessarily having to travel, but I think also looking at alternative programs that we could put in place, potentially something around the mentoring program. We've seen some very good examples around the region from other British chambers as well. And I think the other area is also pushing out kind of meaningful messages, articles out. We do have LinkedIn, we do have Facebook, so we're looking to be more proactive to put those out as well. So we will bring all of these comments back, and then we will push it out through the reps as well, kind of any changes in directions and events that basically we will do going forward. I'm going to now hand over to Cheryl. There are some questions in the chat, Cheryl, but what I'll do is hand over to you, and maybe we can work through those questions as well as you go forward. Okay, so handing over to Cheryl from Bangkok Patana.
Hi, oh, let me unmute. Hi, everyone. So we just wanted to give you a brief overview about where we started from and what are some of the objectives and what we hope to achieve. But we are a very new group, and one of the things we really wanted, one of the main drivers of having this chat today was to try and get in touch with the women representatives of the BCCT member companies. So thanks to those of you who are here this morning. And now actually it's your turn to talk. What we'd really like to hear from you is, what sort of things do you want us to do, or why are you interested in the group, and how can we help you, or what sort of activities and events can we do to support you? And I know it's a little bit scary to speak up in a group of this like this, but perhaps, you know, if we start with one of our committee members, Amy, perhaps if you can give us an idea about, you know, what you look to the WIB for.
I think from me that the things that I'm looking for will be like the just to meet the professional women, that to have, you know, like the comfortable atmosphere that, you know, we just can like exchange idea and talk, share some business tips, or like those challenges that we have been through as a women in business. And more than that is also, apart from the networking itself, I think the things that I'm looking for is about the mentoring program that I believe the Women in Business group is about to create, which is like the long-term plan for next year. I think as of me, I'm still considering myself as a young professional as well. So I think that would be great, you know, just as me myself alone, it'd be very struggling just to reaching out to those senior level just to ask for help or ask for the advice. So I think that would be great if the Women's group can act as a platform or the channel that, you know, like could reaching out to the senior people and also like the young professional and connected them together and help them, you know, just to develop their career path together. So that, yeah, that would be my point of view.
Thanks, thanks, Amy. Anyone else? I see Siri Python. Sorry, Noel, go ahead. I didn't see your hand.
I will. I'm just going to ask a quick question. I was aimed at Amy a little bit. So when we've basically been talking to people about being involved with the BCC generally, one of the comments has been that it's often not focused on business enough. And I know, Amy, this is something that you're quite passionate about, and I know you've got to drop off in a minute, but could you just share the direction of the BCCT in terms of supporting businesses in Thailand?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think I agree with you, because most back on the past, I think like many people know BCCT as a bit more like the place that, you know, like just come and to like having a drink, networking event, just purely that. So it's not really focusing on the business side much. But I think like from the recently, like BCCT ourselves within the board also like have shaped some objectives that we would like to aim for, you know, like business focus. Because one of our core objectives for this year is, you know, to serve the needs and also like promote the business development of our members, you know, like also including the British in business in Thailand community, you know, and also like helping them and reaching out to the government agencies or some like the relevant business sector, you know, just to help the members just to ensure that they're successful and effective communication, also like coordinate the activities among the BCCT members as well. So I think interestingly, even for the COVID-19 time, I've been attending many government agency events that it turns out that there's so many important women as a very important roles on the government side that I think somehow like we potentially could work in the future, you know, like just to help the you all as a woman representative of each company, you know, like we gathered together, we discuss in what terms of business that you want to reaching out to them. And I believe that there will be like the interesting activities that we could do in the future to help the members, you know, to solve in some of the business problems or business issues and expand their business connection to the government part as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. That's a good summary. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. That is actually a really good summary. Anyone else from within maybe some of our yeah, go ahead, Marika.
Hi, everyone. So I think my question will be, how can the women's group help me as a female integrate into the workplace and into the workforce? Yes, I'm a female, and yes, it's great getting together in these kinds of groups where now all of a sudden we're just females together, and I do feel as I get comfortable and I get a lot of help. But then how can the BCCT Women's Group help me integrate where we have then more groups where I learn, and then where it is not just women dominated? Because as Noel mentioned, we work in a company that is predominantly women. So I do know how to work from a business perspective with other women, but I feel I kind of need the experience, and I don't want to be just seen as a woman. I want to like be seen as a business person. And how do we integrate that into how can the BCCT help me in that? kind of manner. I think that is something that I look forward. I do think there's an absolute place for women's support groups, you know, and mentorship. But I would like to see, from my perspective, not to just always have it just female events, and where it is an integrated event and a diverse event.
Thanks, Marika. Actually, that is something that we often talk about at our meetings. And cheers to Stephen, who is our only male, I think, today. But that is something very much that we consider. And in fact, when we were looking at topics, we were looking at topics that would draw males and females. But, you know, again, yeah, thanks for that. It just establishes again that that is an area that we really need to figure out how we can move forward into, because that is what it's all about, is how can we integrate into the workplace? And it's not just by working only with women. It's actually, I remember again, from the first event that we had, and I forget her name, the woman from L'Oreal, and she very much talked about this, about having in her company a male boss who was able to push her forward. And I think that the reality, 63% of us today said that, you know, we have a male sponsor, so that's really important. But yes, please, if anyone, not just today, but going forward, if you have ideas of events or ways that we can help our members with this, do share them with RJ or with Noel or any of us on this call. Thanks, Marika.
There was a question in the chat, thank you, Donna, was how can the women in business help women on the precipice of success but don't have the confidence to take that leap? Which is, I think, again, a similar sort. And it's interesting. I think there's a number of different ways that I think that the support, I think the mentoring program is a very important one. So it's finding your sponsor. And I think we've spoken with, I just spoke with the Taiwan BCC, and they're basically saying they introduced a 6-month program, which was an excellent program. But what they had to do at the beginning was explain the roles and explain what the mentor does and what the mentee does and how it can be effective. And one of it is basically acknowledging that you need help and finding that person that can take you through it, and also connecting you with the right person and finding how you can actually work together. And it's not necessarily very time consuming, but it's something that has to be very timely. And it was interesting, I recently was approached by somebody to be their mentor. I probably speak to them at the moment, probably every couple of months, but it's just a short discussion just on where they are with their career and what they need to do in their next steps, and almost just supporting them, not to give them that confidence that they can do it. I mean, so I think one is mentorship programs, I think is very important for that. I think the others is, and I think going back to Inez Caldera's speak, is basically, once you've got it, not being afraid to take that step forward, and having the network around you, I think that can give you the support as you go through it. And I think often we don't take the leap because we're afraid of failing, but sometimes you've got to basically maybe fail a little bit, but you just got to sometimes just pick yourself up and then go on with the next stuff and not take it too personally. So I think there are some things that we could do. Heather, I know that you have quite strong views on the mentorships programs.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, and that question that Donna's just brought up, I think the key is how to take the leap and how to be encouraged to take the leap. And sponsorship there, I think if you've got a sponsor or a mentor, that person can really help you take that leap and really give you the confidence to do it. But I think if we go back to the the L'Oreal lady there, she talked very much as to how her boss in her career, she'd had a male boss that had really encouraged her and really pushed her along. But I think if that person is not there, then certainly through the WIB or through mentorship, then I think we can support people to really give the confidence. And as Noel said, I really support the mentor programs and feel that's something that we need to do through the WIB, because that gives somebody real confidence for going forward, not just a single event. It really gives somebody confidence and changes somebody's perspective on themselves, and really gives, with the mentoring on a regular basis, then it gives a lot more confidence. So I think it's something that we really need to take forward in the WIB. Thank you.
Does anyone else? How are we going to reach, oh, Donna, you've just put a question up. How are we going to reach a broader group of women? Actually, that is a really good question. And, you know, Noel's nodding ahead because we've tried. So one of the first things we tried is that we went out, we sent a survey to all the members of the BCCT, and we asked them to nominate a person for the Women in Business group. Interestingly enough, we did receive a lot of male nominations. And, you know, some of them were people who were already the representatives of the company. And what we really wanted was, it's not that we didn't want male nominees, it's just that when you look at the BCCT membership, most of the representatives are male. And what we actually wanted was for companies to take a look and say, hey, yes, you know, we've got Bob in place, but can we also have, you know, someone else that's a woman representative? So that sort of worked a little bit, didn't it, Noel? I mean, we've got all of you, for instance, here today. But yes, that is one of our challenges, and any help that we can have or any tips, we do want to reach out to a broader group of people within the BCCT membership. If anyone wants to speak to that, please go ahead. And Donna, if you have any ideas too, that would be great. But no, all right.
Vicky,
sorry, did you have your hand up, Vicky? Please go ahead. Hi, Vicky, welcome.
Hi, I'm in a slightly different perspective to everyone else, because I'm not working in a business as such. I'm at the sister school where Amanda works, at Riverside campus, and where Amanda was formerly vice principal. So I'm thinking a bit from a young person's point of view, from, you know, looking at some of our sixth form girls. How could we possibly work together to create opportunities for them to see really strong role models in business through this group, and whether that would be something that we could work on, maybe a mentoring scheme for our 16 to 18-year-olds before they go off to university, or some kind of joint project between, I mean, I know quite a number of you work at schools as well, so between the schools and between the Women in Business group to raise the profile of young people and get them aware of what it's like to be a young woman going into business and the world of work.
Vicky, that is actually a great idea. And actually, I know exactly what you're talking about, because after year 11, a lot of kids look to do placement in companies in town and around. And if we could draw upon the Women in Business group to particularly give meaningful opportunities to young girls, that would actually be fabulous. So thanks for that good idea. I've noted it down.
Thank you.
We'll take that forward. Yeah. Are there other ways? You know, one thing that I wonder about is sometimes things come up at work, and I think, wow, you know, who has an experience of this type of situation, and I want to talk to someone about, you know, do we have the right policy? And if we don't, how should it be changed? Like in climate support groups or climate committees, you can go to them and you get lots of information on yes, this is a good sustainability policy. And it would be great for us in the Women in Business group to have a best practices sort of conversation, or I don't know how to make that happen, but essentially, what are the difficulties that we're facing, maternity leave, whether it's maternity leave or whether it's retraining or ongoing training when women are off. I don't know if any of you have those sorts of situations, but I was also wondering about how we deal with starting a conversation up in those areas. I don't know if anyone has any ideas on that. We've got Donna, thanks, you've written a comment. So Donna's written, love the idea of workplace programs. I will certainly look at what Lucy Electric can do, both in Bangkok and the Eastern Seaboard, obviously once there's more free time movement. So thanks, Donna, that's actually really great to know, and we'll keep a note of that. Perhaps we should start off now, actually, but if anyone thinks that you can have a work placement, a week to 2 weeks of a young girl who could come and shadow someone in your company, and the person does not have to be a woman, but really just opening up young girls, please, if you can send RJ an email. RJ, what email address can people use? Are you here, RJ? Oh,
yes, it's rungchit@bccthai.com. It's my name at bccthai.com. Yep.
So I'll just drop that into the chat right now. And so if anyone can offer a placement or a job shadowing for young women, if you can please email Rungjit, that would really be great.
All right, great, thanks.
Just looking at the time, it's about 10 to 1. We had one more question, and I have to say that it's just absolutely slipped out of my mind at the moment. But Noel, do you remember what the next question was?
Where am I? It was, what difficulties do you face at work? I think we've kind of covered it. So what are the professional difficulties do you face at work? So this was really to help us try and think about, is if we went forward with workshops, what are the areas that we could basically workshop areas? Because I think mentorship is very much one-on-one, but I think it has to be supplemented by workshops that go along the way. And as I said, the Taiwan one I did was quite good because they identified a number of topics up front, and they allowed those topics to go along with the mentoring program that went ahead. So the question is what are some of the difficulties you faced? I know, Marika, you've said, how do you deal with men? We're very much, as we said, we're 80% women, and sometimes when you go into business meetings and you're faced with a very male meeting, and how do you actually deal with them, because you have to use often very different techniques. So I think the question is what are some of the difficulties that maybe we can build into a program as you go through, or difficulties that you see within your teams that you're working with?
Does anyone have anything that you'd like to share? Is Michelle still on here? Oh no, I think she's had to leave. I was just going to ask her because, she works in a very male-oriented environment at Move Ahead Media, and I've been into their offices, and it's just row and row and row, a row upon row of males. Hey, Michelle.
Still here. Hi, still here.
Michelle, you work in an environment that is really male oriented. Are there difficulties? Are there professional difficulties that you think we should deal with that come across, not in your environment necessarily, but in those types of environments that we could deal with in terms of seminars or workshops?
I think personally, I'm very lucky that Move Ahead Media, like Noelle said, we don't really have a diversity policy written down as per se, but I think we're very equal here. So regardless of whether you're female or male or LGBT, what nationality you're from, it's a very good mix we have here in the company. So it's a very good example. We're like 40 people across the world. So it's a very good example of just a very inclusive workplace. We're also a good mix of people who have been working in digital marketing for 30 years, but also just fresh graduates. We have a lot of interns that just stay with us. So I'm also very happy to get some of the students to come join here for a placement. I'm very happy to set that up. But as for your question of any difficulties, I think it's really getting through the banter of it all. And Noelle's laughing, she might know. Yeah, because when you go into the boardroom, and I spent a lot of time just being the sole female in our management team, and I really had to sort of break down the walls of letting them in, letting them letting them put me into what the inside jokes are. So I think that was the hardest issue for me when I was starting here at Move Ahead Media. But also, I think I have a very good director here who has just encouraged me and made me join him on these management meetings. So yeah, having that sponsor is very good, but also having that sponsor sort of let you have a say when the boys start getting a little bit rowdy.
That's actually, I mean, that's the sadly, I don't know for the rest of you, but even for me, I work in a school and it's very progressive, but often when you do get into those scenarios where suddenly you're the only woman in the room, and everyone stops talking because perhaps they have been talking about things that they shouldn't have been in any case. And you get the feeling that, oh, I'm in the wrong place. And I've actually just decided that actually I'm not in the wrong place. I belong here. Perhaps their comments are in the wrong place and don't belong here. So yeah, and just trying to figure out how to deal with those things is a big thing, isn't it, Michelle? I mean, I wonder, go ahead, Noel.
Sorry, yesterday we had an interesting discussion. I've had it with my kids before in terms of the use of words and what's appropriate and not appropriate. And this is where there is an education, because I think it was with my husband, some of the things that he says really are not acceptable, but he doesn't mean it, but it's just the way that they use the words. And it's basically saying, it's almost like retraining what's acceptable behavior and what not acceptable behavior, so that they can then be role models for their own children, even though fundamentally there isn't any, it's not meant, it's just the words. My husband's Australian, so there is almost like linked to that, there is almost like a re-education or a different way of actually communicating. And I think that's why it's quite important for me, which goes back to the first objective. When you look at the BCCT events, I'd like to see them more even, because I'd like the conversation to be less of you walk in and then in the corner there's a group of lads that basically together, and it becomes a much more inclusive and open to bring it in. Because when you do break in, often it isn't intentional, it's just behaviours. And so what the intention is very much from the board, and I think Amanda and Dantame, you can validate this, is we really do want diversity and much more openness and acceptance and respect in terms of women, LBGT, everybody basically. So
I think Do we have time? I just have a quick last question.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
I'm not saying that this is what I'm personally going through at the moment, but with this whole diversity thing, and it's great that more companies are including women, but how do we sort of make sure that it's not just a token ticket? Like if I'm added to a board of directors, I want to be there because I deserve it, not just because I'm, well, I'm Asian, but also I'm female. So how do I make sure that, it's fair in that way?
Yeah, that's such a tough question. I often think that one of the things that we want to do, and one of the things that will help, is I noticed this myself in Thailand. There are women that are in there are women that lead companies and that are in top positions in government, and that's something not new. And you can find this around. And I think one of the things we have to do is to highlight those people as, as being there because they deserve to be there, not just there because they're a woman. But I mean, there's no full answer to it, but definitely something that we should address. Michelle, you're absolutely right. How do we make us accepted for who we are, not just, you're there because you're a woman. Which is often something, even though you are put into place because you do the job well, that's an easy sort of comeback for people, to say, she's just there because, she's a token woman. And it makes me so angry. It is 2 minutes to 12, and we did want to finish on time. We go to 12, don't we, Noel?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who has come, and please, someone asked what's our next event. I have to say right away that we're hoping to have an in-person event in early December, and I hope to see you all there, and we can seek each other out and meet each other in person. So yeah, cross your fingers. As soon as we have details on that, we'll send that out. So thanks very much for sharing some of what is on your mind and what you think, which we'll take, and it will help us set events for the future and also possibly tweak the objectives that we have. Thank you to Noel for starting this group and leading it up. And also thank you to Amy and Amanda and Jantima for being our representatives on the board. That was one of the things we really wanted to do, was to get more women on the board. If any of you are interested in standing for the board, please do contact Noel or Noel through RJ. We'd love to support you if that's something you're considering. Not much more to say, really. I'd written down a little bit of a conclusion, but just, thanks so much. It's really been valuable for us, I think, all the members of committee, to hear from you, and we hope to see you at our events going forward. Anyone else has anything else to say? Heather, you're smiling.
Just say thank you for the nice event. I think this is a good chat group, and as said, so I'm looking forward to event from the WiBG, and I hope, as said, on behalf of Bamrunglak International Hospital, anything we can support you on the health issues and also the work placement. So please kindly let us know. Yeah. Thank you.
That's great. That's great tip. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks a lot, Vicky, and hope you have a good rest of the week.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Great.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you, Ajay, BCCTs. Hi.
Bye.
Good Noel.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.